Thank you for joining. Yes, it's good to be back with Tok Piksa again, though we'll do it a little different this time. We plan to bring you studio interviews with newsmakers on issues, events, and developments in Papua New Guinea. And when we do say that, politics becomes inevitable. In this first edition of Tok Piksa 2013, we talked to Mr. Peter O'Neill as he braces to begin his new, fresh mandate as Prime Minister to plot a new beginning. Prime Minister, thank you for making time available to us. Sir, the elections are over. The government is in place, of which you are the head. The budget has been handed down, passed. It's January. And the operative word with government now is implementation and implementation of the budget. Given that, sir, you have a public service that is in sort of numb mode, it appears, and head nodding. How confident are you that that year of implementation is going to come to some fruition?
Well, thank you. Firstly, John, thank you for having me on this program again, and I appreciate the opportunity for me to explain to the people of Papua New Guinea what our government is doing at present to making sure that we implement our budget on schedule and in according to what we have appropriated at in the Parliament through the budget approval last November. Yes, we've just gone through the elections. We have a very good, solid majority in Parliament. The coalition is, the numbers are increasing all the time.
Increasing for you?
Increasing for PNC party also, and but that brings about stability.
Yes.
Stability so that we can implement our policies more in an orderly manner rather than worried about politics and numbers and the instability that we are used to in the past.
Yes, yes.
So with the numbers that we have now, we have a unique opportunity in making sure that we implement some of the good policies that government has introduced over the past few months. Free education, free basic health care, more investment in infrastructure, more investment in law and order, giving economic opportunities for our Papua New Guinea.
They are your core priorities.
These are our core priorities, and that has been well captured in the budget. And it is now time for public servants and leaders to work together to making sure that we implement the budget. Our failure in the past has been so obvious that we have continued to, over the many years, never ever implemented the budgets in its fullness. So by doing that, then we miss out on all the opportunities that we can build a good, strong economy, provide better services to our citizens. So we are now having a big conference on the 4th of February. We have started this year very early. Usually, January is a very slow month. But we have encouraged all the public servants to come back to work. We are encouraged by the fact that the Minister for Public Service and the Department of Personnel Management are very proactive in rebuilding the public service machinery by making sure that the reforms that we have been talking of for many years are now started to be implemented in the public sector. So, we are looking forward to a very exciting year in 2013.
The meeting on the 4th, when you get together, all the implementers,
yes.
What sort of a message would you have for them?
We want them
that is different to what we've been accustomed to.
We want them to set up benchmarks for themselves that are achievable in the 12 months for 2013. And we will assess those outcomes at the end of the year before we introduce the budget in November in 2013. So for the first time, we are trying to making sure that people focus on the core functions of each of the departments, core priorities of each of the provinces. So we are making a combined conference for one day that will highlight to everybody that this government is serious. We are going to making sure that the funds are provided in a timely manner. Resources are provided to all the departments and various provinces in a timely manner, and we expect nothing less than the implementation of those resources and funds to achieving the targets that we have set out. That is a big call but I think Papua New Guineans can rise up to it.
Yes, yes. It is politically, I think the agenda, the speeches are right, the body language is right, everything seems to be right at that level.
Yes.
I just think that we have a numb public service used to slowness, used to inefficiency, corruption creeps in. How do you expect to change that within a short span of time, say on the 4th when you'll talk to them, to turn the table around? That's a hard call.
So Papua New Guineans have, for many, many times, that includes public servants, have continued not believing in themselves. We have got some of the best educated people in the world. We have got some of the most intelligent people in the world. But they have lacked the capacity and the desire to apply themselves. And I think if leaders and governments provide positive message to our people, they are going to rise up to it. And I have no doubt whatsoever that Papua New Guineans can stand up to making sure that we build a country that we all can be proud of, that our kids will inherit a country that they can be proud of, and a country that we all can benefit on the services that the governments will provide. Of course, there's a chronic shortage. You look at teachers, you look at doctors, you look at nurses across the country. That is why the government is now trying to recruit from outside of the country so that we can meet those gaps while we rebuild many of the institutions that has been closed down for many, many years, like the teachers' colleges, some of the nursing colleges, some of the medical faculties that train all these public servants have been either closed down or have been just struggling to survive. So we have to have time to rebuild that. But meanwhile, our people are demanding services. We cannot afford to have people dying on us continuously from curable diseases in hospitals. We cannot afford to have kids that are not given the opportunity to go into school because we lack teachers. That is why this government is focused on meeting those short-term gains, short-term needs immediately, and then to focus on making sure that we fill the gaps by training and building capacity over time.
Yes. And just on bringing people from overseas in, expertise, ECP with Australia, how are we into that?
We are talking with the Australian government and the OSAID program in the country in building capacity. They are doing some excellent work already with our government institutions, but we want to do more. We are encouraging that, and ECP, and also rebuilding some of the law and justice sector that has been discussed, and we look forward to working with them closely. Okay. But the details are not finalized yet. I don't want to preempt the support and the assistance that we will get from the Australian government. But we as a government ourselves are looking beyond Australia. We are looking to other Commonwealth countries. We are looking to other English-speaking countries where we can communicate. The standards of education that they have are similar to ours or better, so that we can recruit the right people to do the right jobs.
And doing the right thing ourselves here as well. And you've spelled out your decision on stopping overseas travel. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, that is one of the cost-cutting measures that we are taking, of many others that we will do, including management of vehicles, the other assets of government, expenditures on less priority areas that we have now allowed wastage to take place in many departments. So travel is one of the areas that we think that we are not getting the maximum outcomes that we want when we attend conferences. Large numbers of people going there unnecessarily, having a good time at the expense of the rest of the country and the taxpayers. These are sort of wastage that we want to avoid. So leaders, ministers, members of parliament, public servants, those who work for the country must take ownership of some of these issues. That is why I know that it is micromanaging these issues. People may think that these are not big issues for the country, but we have to start small. If we cannot manage small things, how can we manage big things? That is the message that I want to give to our people, so that we manage issues like travel, expenses of running departments, salaries or wages. I want to tell you, that every year we overrun in cost of our salaries in the country. In 2012 alone, over 300 million kina. This is beyond what we have budgeted for. 300 million kina that we are spending unnecessarily. If we save on that, do you know how many schools that we can build? Do you know how many health centers we can build? This is a substantial amount of money that has been wasted on expenses that we have not planned.
40 million or so you will have saved from stopping overseas travels, 300 million from ensuring efficiency rather than wastage. So all in all, how much do you think you will save if this exercise were to be very successful?
I think it'll run into hundreds of millions of kina. I think every year we seem to be just wasting money without achieving the outcomes in the delivery of service that we are planning for our country. So once we tighten up, I think you will see the savings will be better managed and better utilized. So I think it'll be in hundreds of millions of kina.
You yourself, you are contemplating or you're planning on visiting every center in this country, starting I think very shortly. Is that you will be doing that? Well, just tell us where you'll be going and what is the purpose behind that. You are the chief executive, you will and you are expected to travel.
Well, for many years, I think we have been running the country from Waigani. I think people in many parts of the country still believe that a government doesn't exist that cares about them. We are now putting a lot of resources back to the provinces. We are putting a lot of resources into the districts. We're putting a lot of direct funding into the LLGs. We need to communicate with these people that the priorities of government, the priorities of the leadership that is responsible of delivering services to our communities. These are substantial amounts of money. Close to just over 1.5 billion kina is going directly to the provinces, districts, and the LLGs. That is a substantial investment that we as a country are making. This is not free money. This is not money that people can use and utilize at their own desire. We have got a structured government program and policies that we want them to adhere to. That is why we are going to the provinces, sitting down with the leaders of the provinces, sitting down with the leaders of the districts and LLGs, explaining to them what we need to do in partnership with the national government and our development partners in making sure that we achieve the targets that we have set out through the budget that we have just approved through Parliament.
Yes, you're back to Tok Piksa. Our guest is the Prime Minister of Papua New Guinea. The topic is Implementation 2013. What about your ministers? If you went to the centers, main centers, would they not be required to go to the districts?
Many of us are now traveling together. Recently, I've traveled to Morobe and down to Oro province. We are now taking all the ministers where to go with us. So in the case of Morobe, when the health minister traveled with me, when I visited the floods and the flood-affected areas, he went to visit the Enga hospital to see for himself what is happening on the ground and how we can plan to improving service delivery and health care in the Enga hospital as we are doing in the Port Moresby General Hospital. So for us, I think you will see more and more government ministers, more and more leaders in the various provinces traveling and working with the provinces and the districts so that we can implement the policies that we have now outlined. As I've stated, apart from funding 1.5 billion kina direct funding to the districts and the provinces, we are now investing close to over 600 million kina in free education, almost 2 billion kina into free into healthcare in the country and through the health department. And this must trickle down into the districts and the provinces and the communities. So our job is to making sure that the public servants and the leaders work together in achieving these outcomes.
Some departments, important as they are, but are not at the forefront. And whether they're working or not, we really don't know. Likewise, some ministries. What do you expect from your ministers? Do you expect anything from your ministers in their terms while they're in their positions?
Ministers have a duty to the nation, and likewise the leaders of the departments and the key sectoral departments especially. They must take ownership their duties and responsibilities. They must now step up. The country is demanding that we step up through the delivery of services. We have now seen the mismanagement of many of our resources, mismanagement and the foregoing of many of the opportunities that the economy has presented to us. Especially, we have had a continuous economic growth for over 11 years now. Now, there is really nothing to show for it. In fact, many of the services are in the decline because of the pressure of an increasing population. So the demand that is now been placed on people who are in responsible position is much more than ever before. So that is why the onus is now on the leaders, that we are just not there taking up jobs for the boys. We must now take up the jobs so that we deliver to the expectation of our people.
We'll just get on to the economy a little bit. Tell me, if departmental heads and ministers don't perform, obviously something has got to be done to them to get the message across. What are you going to do to those who don't perform?
Would have noted recently, we have now started to take all the departmental heads to account. Some departmental heads are laid back in their approach, have been told to move on. We will continue to do that. But I've always stated we are not here for the sake of just sacking the boys, sacking departmental heads to bring our boys into the jobs. We are here for the business of trying to deliver services to our people, trying to implement government policy, trying to implement the budget that we have set out. The tasks before us is very clear. If people are not doing their jobs, we don't owe it to them. This is not a lifetime pension job that they sit there and get paid for doing nothing. The country expects them to work for what we are paying them to do so. So I know that that message is sometimes a bit harsh, but the reality is very clear. The services are declining. It does not matter where you are in the country, whether up north in Vanimo or down in Alatau or across to Bougainville, down in Western Province, the message is very clear. You go to all these small towns and districts and communities. The roads are not working. The infrastructure is not there. The health centers are virtually non-existent. Many of the schools, hardly the teachers are there. This is a clear example of a decline in the services that government is delivering. Now, the leaders in government, both in politics and in public service, must step up. We do not have a choice. There's no one out there who's going to come and do this job for us. We have to do it for our kids and our communities.
And as of January, you got these plans and you want to move forward, and you, I guess, we face problems, and we've got a natural disaster before us.
Yes.
And that's also created a dent into your plans and moving forward.
Yes, but fortunately, we foresaw this coming into picture. Because we've planned and we've budgeted at least 50 million kina for natural disasters in the 2013 budget. We're using those funds now to meet some of the costs of delivering, clearing the disaster areas and bringing...
Funds are there, but are you happy with what's happened with the national... one of your own ministers or one of your MPs even says that it's non-existent, basically, the Office of the Emergency Services.
Yes, our response time has been slow. That is a fact. But my job now is to making sure that we get those food supplies and emergency supplies to the communities that have been affected, making sure the roads are open. As I said, that we have no time for the blame game. We can go on passing the buck. We can go on saying that this is somebody else's responsibility. But we as a community, we as a country must step up. And disasters are some things that we have to manage. As long as this country exists, there will be natural disasters in the future. We just have to plan it better. We need to construct our roads to a much higher standard than the substandard that we have been doing. We have to make sure that our emergency response teams are much more better equipped, better resourced, and so that they can attend to some of these emergencies more on a timely basis than waiting for a prime minister or minister to intervene. Whilst it is my job to get out there, they don't have to wait for one man. Our government services must stand up so that they can attend to these emergencies quickly and on time.
Yes, yes. So on the economy, yes, we have experienced unprecedented growth in the last 11, 12 years, 10, 11 years. We're coming to a time where construction phase of LNG is slowing down, the world economy is such, and our growth, we enjoyed 7-8%, it might be down a little bit. So against a deficit budget, how do you see us going there?
Well, that is why we had to introduce a deficit budget, because we are now focusing on infrastructure. A substantial amount of money, in fact billions of kina, have been now spent and earmarked for infrastructure construction in the country. Construction must continue. It's not only LNG, it's not only the mining sector. Construction of our infrastructure that will maintain and sustain the economy and its growth into the future will only be derived by a better infrastructure. That is why we are now embarking on rebuilding the Highlands Highway. We are now embarking on rebuilding many of the ports in the country. We are embarking on building the airports in the country. Those are key infrastructures that will deliver the jobs that our people will want, continued growth of our economy, and making sure that our people have a better opportunity in building their businesses. So, as I've stated earlier, we are focusing on the right things. It's now up to government and also leaders, both in politics and public service, that we work together in making sure we implement a budget that is, in fact, well received, not only by our own community and our business sector, but well received by the international development partners, well received by international financial institutions, as a budget that is very responsible, that is workable, that we can be able to deliver to our country.
Thank you for staying with us. 37 years of independence, nearly 13 of those in the latter part with unprecedented economic growth and unbelievable denial of equitable distribution of wealth, if ever there were any rendered at all. The people deserve better. The country owes it to them. Prime Minister Peter O'Neill is on a quest to deliver under his government's pillar policies of infrastructure, education, health, law and order, the list goes. Mr. O'Neill continues as our guest on Tok Piksa. So you did speak on resource PNG, and you spoke about the second LNG project and converting that to local, for use in PNG, in particular in the energy sector.
Papua New Guinea is a developing country and a fast-growing country. The economy is growing at a very fast rate, on average of over 8% over the last 10, 11 years. That's much higher than many other parts and many other economies in many other countries in the world. And to maintain that growth and the demands on energy and that is been placed to building many of the businesses that are now growing in the country, it's quite substantial. That is why we are now experiencing frequent blackouts, because PNG Power is unable to meet the demands. So we have entered into an agreement with the developers of the second LNG that Papua New Guinea government will access to 50% of the resource. We will try and secure that so that we will convert many of them into energy requirements of our country. Trying to making sure that power generation by gas powered is available to our communities. We are in fact talking to entering into private partnership arrangement with major power suppliers around the world, so they can build power generation facilities in cities like Port Moresby, Lae, and the other cities in the country, and they deliver a cheaper power to PNG Power, who can then retail it out to our citizens and our businesses. That's a sort of arrangement that we are now focusing on. So government is trying to secure a resource that is going to drive our economy. Now, it's not only about energy, but this has got a substantial opportunity for us to build our petrochemical industry in the country, which will also deliver opportunities in providing things like fertilizer that will grow our agricultural industry in the country. That will also provide opportunity for increased employment. Over 20 or 30,000 people will continue to be employed over time in the petrochemical industry. We cannot afford just to sit back and say, let all our gas be exported to all the consumer countries where they are building their own economy with our energy and our resource, and we can remain as we are.
Yeah.
Now, I think that's a disservice to the country. We must secure energy supply for the continued growth of our country.
Okay, so there's a lot of other issues we can talk about, but we are running out of time. So what's on implementation, and we thank you for your time here.
Well, we look forward to engaging with our people in the implementation of our budget and our policies into the future. We want to be held accountable. We want a more dynamic interaction with our people on government's ability to deliver on issues that government is not doing, so that we can correct ourselves. Of course, we will make some mistakes as we move forward, but I think we can learn from that. I think we have made very serious mistakes over the last 37 years. I think we have learned from that now. I think let us try and make our country a better living for our own people into the future.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, and nice talking to you again, John.
All right. That's been Tok Piksa with the Prime Minister, Mr. Peter O'Neill. We hope to have one of his ministers or departmental heads on what they are doing on their part under the theme Service Delivery. We will let you know later. Until then, thank you for watching.